All right, George. So we're here at Winterthur, and we're going to be talking about fall mite treatments.
That's right, Dave. It's the second week of October. It's a beautiful day. And today we're going to talk a little bit about why do fall mite treatments and how to do fall mite treatments with our one queen keeper hive.
So George, why should you do fall mite treatments?
One of the reasons to do fall mite treatments is because it is best management practices according to most experts in beekeeping. You want to make sure that you have bees that are going to go into winter healthy, right? Because the three things that are important with overwintering survival is health of your bees, having enough food, and having the right hive to support those bees. So those three factors are very important. So today we're going to talk a little bit about fall mite treatment.
So how does having mites in the hive in the fall specifically hurt the bees when they go into winter?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Dave. So the winter bees are being made in September and October. Those bees are going to be the ones that help the hive survive until February or March, when they start to make brood again. So those bees have to live a long time. And in order for those bees to live a long time, they have to be healthy. And if your mite counts are high in your hive, those mites are going to give the brood and the bees viruses and other diseases that are going to make it harder for those bees to live.
So when the new bees, the winter bees, are made, they're gonna be sick, basically.
That's basically right, Dave. So when your mite counts are high, the colony produces bees that are sick, and they may be sick with things like deformed wing viruses, which cause those bees to have a much shortened lifespan and therefore not survive the winter.
Gotcha. And so would you say that treating for mites in the fall is almost even more critical than the food?
Yeah, because again, there's two of the most important things for the colony to survive the winter is have healthy bees and enough food. And if your bees are born sick, there's nothing as a beekeeper you can do to fix that. While if your bees don't have enough food in the winter, there's always ways in the middle of winter to supplement with either fondant or dry sugar to help them to survive the winter. In general, Dave, it's a little bit of a generalization, but unhealthy hives that are largely affected by viruses through mites generally don't make it to the new year. So those hives usually will die sometime in November or December. But if your bees survive until January, that usually means you had healthy enough bees, and then if they need more food, you can add more food. But if the bees die before that, you really don't have any other options. So that's why I would say that treating for mites or managing your mites is maybe even more important than feeding this time of year.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do the mite treatments themselves for fall, is it different from treating earlier in the year? Like, are you using different treatments or a different method of treating?
Yeah, so that's again a good question, Dave. First, with the keeper's hive, you can use every mite treatment that's commercially available in the keeper's hive, because it's essentially a Langstroth hive. So unlike some of the horizontal hives where your treatment options are limited based on the hive design or the frame design, in the keeper's hive, whatever you're familiar with will work. Now, there's a couple things that are somewhat different about the fall than the rest of the year. First thing is, usually in September and October, for the most part, all the honey supers are off the hive at this point. And you can see on this one queen keeper, we have our brood box, we have our spacer box, and we have our exchange box, but the honey supers have been harvested. And we don't plan on harvesting any more this year. So it's okay to use a treatment that doesn't have to be honey safe. Second thing about fall treatment is I like a longer acting treatment in the fall. instead of like a flash treatment such as formic acid. The longer acting treatments would be extended release oxalic acid, amitraz, frequent oxalic vaporizations, or Apogard, something that is in the hive for that 4 to 6 week period where those bees are being made. Because in the fall, there's a lot of drift going on, there's robbing going on, and those things may be causing what is known as mite bombs. So these sort of very intense short-term influx of mites into the hive, and that's why it's nice to have a long-acting treatment on the hive to prevent those mite bombs from happening.
Right, because if you just used a quick-acting one and then a couple weeks later they robbed out a sick hive, you wouldn't have anything in there to help with that.
You got it, Dave.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. What do you have in this hive right now? You want to show us?
Yeah, I want to show you kind of what we're doing on this hive. So come on in and we're going to take a look. So again, we have just to review what's going on here. We have a solid bottom board. I prefer solid bottom boards with the keeper's hive because it is a single brood chamber hive. You can use a screen bottom board, but definitely going into winter, you want to close that off. So this is a solid bottom board. This is the 8-frame deep single brood chamber. This is the spacer box, and this is the exchange box. So let's take a look.
Really quick, if you haven't seen any of our other videos, the spacer box and exchange box are in reference to the demery. So we use those terms to describe these boxes in this configuration because that's the configuration that we like to manage the keeper's hive. So I'll put a link in the description, but if you want to watch our video about the demery, you'll understand why we call them the spacer and exchange box.
Yeah, and Dave, we don't mind the questions. I know this concept of spacer box and exchange box is new for a lot of people, and I'm doing my best to explain it and maybe to repeat it. So it's great if you've already caught on and understand the concept. If not, feel free to drop a question in the comments, and I will try to do my best to explain it for you.
Cool.
So remember, Dave, this is what I enjoy the most about beekeeping, right? I enjoy having a good time. I enjoy being relaxed. I enjoy having fun. So when I get into all my keepers' hive, the first thing I do is grab my stool and have a seat. So let's not forget that piece of it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to easily open the hinge roof, and we're going to see right off the bat that we have our records right there. So inside of the right inside of the roof is a great spot to keep your hive records. They stay dry, the bees can't chew them up, and they have them right there. So you can see the hive records on this hive, and we can go more into this in another video about what hive records to keep. So you can see right off the bat on this hive, we have really nice bee population. So if you look in here, you can see that we have all 8 frames in the brood chamber, and pretty much they're all covered with bees. So right now we know that we're in relatively good shape by a bee population. So when I did mite counts on this hive about a month ago, Dave, the mite count was 7 of 300 bees. So that was greater than 2%. So since that treatment was high, I decided to treat this hive with a miticide. And the miticide I chose to use this year was a product called Viroxan, which is a long-acting oxalic acid product. And I can show you that in a bit once we open this up. But it's a brand new treatment that's recently been approved. So I wanted to see how effective it was at dropping the mite counts in my hives. And it's also one that is honey safe, so I still could harvest honey from this hive if I chose to using Viroxan. So let's take a look. So we're gonna gently smoke these bees at the entrance. We're gonna do a little bit by the observation window. don't forget the other great thing that I use, Dave, is my hive tool.
The retractable hive tool.
Retractable hive tool. Some people have commented, like, does your pocket get like sticky, George, when you put it in your pocket? And I tend to try to hang it from outside my pocket. So that was a good comment that people brought up. I love it because I'm not young, Dave, like you are, you know, and sometimes I forget where I put my hive tool down. So I always have it. So big fan of the retractable hive tool. And I noticed there's some people out there that are also using the retractable hive tool now, Dave. So I'm a big fan of people stealing this idea and using this idea.
You think
it's awesome.
You think you're an influencer now, George?
I'm not an influencer, Dave. I'm just a beekeeper. That's
Okay.
all I am.
All right.
So I haven't reached that level yet, I don't think. I don't think we have enough views to be an influencer.
Maybe not
Dave.
yet, yeah.
Not yet. So again, you can see that I have not disturbed the whole colony to get to the brood nest. And it is fall, and we are out here early today. So the bees are welcoming me a little bit, so I'm just gonna gently, you know, you don't need much smoke to do what you need to do, you know? So a little smoke goes a long ways. So just smoke them down a little bit there, Dave.
All right.
And I want everyone to watch how easy it is, and also how I take these frame guards out, right?
Sure.
Because there's been a little bit of confusion on how to get the frame guards out, and do they come out? So I would say take your hive tool, gently push on them, and then take them out. And again, here's the sample of the hive tool, of the frame guard. So you can see there's some propolis on the top of this frame guard, but there's very little. I can't say there's none, but there's very little on the inside part of this frame guard. So we're going to review one more time, Dave. You take your hive tool, you go right underneath here, and you force it out a little bit, and then you pull it out like this. So again, the same thing. There's a little bit of propolis on there, but it doesn't affect function.
Right.
But what I want to show is that people say, well, there's propolis on the frame guards. Yes, and we never said there isn't. But if you look right here, on the ends of the frames, there's very little to no propolis. And that's what matters about the function of the hive, that the very ends of the frames don't have propolis. Anyway, so let's take a look. Do you have a moment, Dave?
I do.
I hope everybody watching has a moment, because this is what I like doing the most. Is I like looking at bees. I love looking at bees. So you're going to see this right here is one of the Viroxan strips, Dave. It basically sits over a frame. It wraps over a frame. And there's 3 Viroxan strips in this hive, because it's one strip for 2.5 frames of brood. And we had 7 frames of brood in here when we put it in. So we put 3 Viroxan strips in. So let's take a look here. So we're going to easily take out frame number frame number 2. So just pull it straight up, just like you would do any hive work, and you're going to see frame number 2 has the Viroxan strip that's basically wrapped over this frame. So how the Viroxan strip works, Dave, is that there's oxalic acid in this strip, and it basically works on contact. So you can see as the bees walk over the strip, they're taking off some of that oxalic acid and spreading it throughout the hive.
I see.
So this is a very nice frame, Dave. So you can see in this frame right here, we have brood in the center,
Some nectar.
we have nectar and pollen, and then we have honey at the top. So that's a very nice frame. So that's frame 2. I usually take frame 2 out first when doing the hive inspection, and I'll just put it right in the middle of my quiet box, Dave.
I like your new quiet box.
You like that one?
Yeah.
It's almost as good as the retractable hive tool. Almost. It's getting there. So we have a nice quiet box. Yes, again, it's very helpful to get the comments, because I learn to better explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it when I get the comments. So on a quiet box, I usually will put the frames in the quiet box in the middle of the box and not along one of the edges, just to make sure if the queen is on there, she's unlikely to wander off to the side of the box. So just
good.
sort of put that frame in the quiet box right in the middle. I didn't see the queen on that one, but
she can be sneaky, right?
Yeah, sometimes I do have my queens marked, but sometimes you sort of get lazy and you're kind of looking for a mark, and sometimes the mark wears off, or sometimes they superseded the queen. So it's always good to, if you're going to take a frame out of the box, it's always good to put that frame somewhere safe, right? So you're not putting it on the ground where it could be robbed out, or the queen can wander onto the grass. Especially this time of year, robbing's a huge problem. So you don't want to leave frames and boxes out exposed, because you're going to, within 5 minutes, attract robin bees.
Interesting.
So a nice covered quiet box is perfect. So Dave, here's your test, right? Here's your test, Dave, for the day. Because Dave is the most knowledgeable, limited, experienced beekeeper there is. I shouldn't have said that.
No, I mean you're not wrong. Oh, I don't know about the claim that I'm the most knowledgeable, but
you're up there.
I've been shooting these videos with you and learning as much as I can.
A ton.
I'm kind of in an apprenticeship, you could say.
He's in an apprenticeship. One day I'm going to do the camera and Dave's going to work the
one
bees,
day.
But one day. You'll have to stay tuned for that, but not today because it's fall. So tell me, Dave, I'm going to pull frame number 1.
Okay.
Which is the frame right next to the follower board, right? In this hive. So tell me what we should see on frame number 1.
Food.
Food. So food means what, Dave?
Food means that they have stores for making brood.
Right. So it's the factory. So they have enough stores to make brood, or they have enough stores to survive the winter.
Right.
So you can see that there's honey on this frame, Dave. You see up there?
Oh, yeah.
You see on the other side all that beautiful capped honey? So you were right, Dave. Frame number 1 has stores on it.
All right.
Which is beautiful. And we're going to look at one more frame here, just because we're in the hive and we want to see if there's anything interesting, especially when it relates to mites. So it's not the food frames you need to look at with mites. It's the brood frames you got to look at with mites. Not only to sample for your mite levels, you always want to take bees from brood frames when you're sampling for mites, but also if you're looking for disease, like the mite-associated diseases, you want to be looking at cap brood, specifically older cap brood, for evidence that you have issues related to viruses. So
would the capping appear different?
You're right, Dave. The cappings would appear different. They would appear with holes in them, sunken. The bees may cannibalize the pupae, so you may see it uncapped and the bees just sort of chewing out the pupae. You may see pupae that just look deformed or sick. So that's you really want a nice frame of capped brood when you're looking for mite-associated diseases.
Okay.
These bees are buzzing a little bit today, Dave, but we're good though, right? I mean, we're all good today. So we're going to take a look at this frame. Again, these are unscripted, unplanned videos. So let me just look at this really close here. Oh, this is a good frame.
Lots
right
of
here.
brood.
So come on in, Dave. So I have noticed, this is my first year of doing Viroxan. You can see there's a little bit of comb indentation where the Viroxan strip is.
Okay, I see.
I'm not sure why that is. I tried to hang the strip right in the middle between the 2 frames, but you see a little bit of that. But what we're going to focus on here is this cap brood. So this is cap brood, Dave.
Yeah.
And again, we're looking for any brood cappings that are not solid, that have holes in them. We're looking for sick looking pupae. And I'm not, oh, here's one cell. If you can zoom in. Here's one.
Want to do it again?
I'm going to point to this cell right here, this uncapped cell right there. It has a dead pupae in it right there.
Okay.
So it's been uncapped, and the pupae is dead, and they're starting to cannibalize it. They're starting to eat it out. So that's one cell that is not healthy, right?
Okay.
And that's okay. One cell is clearly not going to make the difference to whether or not this hive survives the winter or not.
And you did know there was mites already.
There was some mites in this, and all hives are unhealthy to some extent, right? Just like people, right? We all get some viruses occasionally, but we live.
Right.
Bees can have a low level of virus or a low level of sickness and live. It's the problem when the sickness becomes overwhelming and they don't live.
Right, when
So-
it becomes overpowering.
Overpowering for the survival of the hive. So we're going to have a little bit of disease here, but that's all we have here. Just one cell that had a sick pupae in it. So very minimal. And one more look, Dave. Come on in. I know you love coming in close.
Yeah, no, I got this nice new zoom now. Here we go.
Dave's got a new camera, so I hope you all see the difference in what we're doing with Dave's camera. But look at, you can't get a more beautiful frame than this, right? I mean, you have the nice capped honey there, you have the beautiful pollen ring there, and then you have the brood there. It's beautiful. It's really why you want to run single brood chamber hives, honestly. They just organize their brood nest so beautifully, and you get frames that look like that. And when you're talking miticides, you're putting the miticide right where the brood is. You know, if you run these tall stacks that don't have a queen excluder and you don't know where the brood is, you're not going to know where to put your miticides. With the keeper's hive, we know exactly where to put the miticides, and we know the miticides are going to be more effective when you put the miticides near the brood, right? So this is, look at, I mean, what do you think, Dave?
I mean, that looks good to me.
I mean,
That's the honey dome.
This is the honey dome that they've created. They're already backfilling some of the brood nest. And again, we have some honey stores up top for winter, which we'll cover in another video. But this is just absolutely amazing. So what we're going to do now, Dave, is we're going to go back into our quiet box. Again, the nice thing about the keeper's hive, right, is one of the nice things about the keeper's hive, both the one queen and the two queen keeper, is I've done my brood inspection without tearing apart, without taking off my supers. I've not needed to lift any of the exchange box, the spacer box, the supers to get down here and tell myself I look good.
Yeah.
Not that I look good, but the bees look good, Dave.
Well, and also you were saying like it's the fall. They're protective of the honey stores, right? This was a pretty calm inspection considering you didn't have to break apart the whole hive, right? So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was.
Because if you had to go into basically take all those upper boxes off, you probably would be stung a few times by now.
Yeah, if I had to stand up and work, Dave, I would not be happy.
Well, that too.
That too.
I'm just saying it's.
No, it's great. I mean, and then we drop the Vrox. The Vroxen's going to be in for 6 weeks, so that's got a little bit more time to go in. So we're going to do that, and then we're basically going to take the. See, I told you, my mind, Dave. I forgot where I put the frame guards. They're right up above me. So again, we're going to put the frame guards back in. I always recommend smoking the ends of the frames before you try to put your frame guard in. So just kind of give them a nice smoke, drive the bees off of there to minimize how many you squish. And there you go, Dave.
Very cool.
And you know what goes on last?
Observation window.
Observation window. So again, thank you to all the people that pre-ordered through Indiegogo. Your hives are being built now. There's been a small modification on how we work the frame guards and observation windows just to make it more intuitive. So trying to remember what comes first and what comes second is going to be easier. But here we go. We got our observation window back on. And with We're done.
Nice.
So there you have fall treatment, Dave. It's very important to do best management practices with your hive. Best management practices include checking your mite counts monthly on your hives and treating when your mite counts get above 2%, especially in the fall when your mite levels are going to tend to be higher and the impact of sick brood is greater. So if your mite counts are over 2%, every treatment works in the keeper's hive, and we're hoping for good results with our Viroxan after 6 weeks. So that's all I got, Dave, today. Remember, seeded hive inspections are the real deal.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, you're welcome.